quiet start to week 3 of the year, the plan for this week is to try and learn some of the tree species in our woods. As we get into it though, you'll notice we run into a few challenges. Down at the usual sunrise spot, misty as anything. Maybe the mistiest day we've had for, well, certainly this year. Well, back to Rita Woodoo. We haven't been here for a week, so let's go take a look again. Ooh, it's muddy. Look at that sun coming through now. That's pretty magnificent, isn't it? You don't. Whoop. Before we go on, I actually had to run back down here. The sun coming through just changed the scene entirely. So just a quick glimpse of the sun poking through the mist. I wonder if that means it will disperse quickly or if it will hang around for a bit. Lovely conditions. So how on earth are we going to do this? We've got a wood full of trees of quite a few different varieties, I think, but honestly this time of year you're really just looking at trunks and branches, right? So I think it's going to be a challenge. This may be something that we attempt to do now and then come back to later in the year, maybe 4 months time, and do a redo when we have leaves that we can look at as well. But we'll do our best. Yeah, it's going to be very much bark and shape based, I guess, although even that, I mean, every tree's unique, isn't it? So we'll just have to see. But I guess let's get going here. So why not, let's start with this guy. Pretty ginormous. Not a ton of shape going on. Let's take a look at the bark. I would love to be able to say something scientific about how the striations in the bark mean something, but honestly, I really don't know what to say. We're going to have to hope that probably a combination of Google and maybe some of the plant apps can help us ID them. I think in this area most of the trees initially are this kind. You see down, sorry, I'll zoom out. I think these few close to us have a very similar look to them, so I'm thinking most of the ones here are this. Now these smaller ones that are in between, such as, you know, these guys here, I don't know if I'm going to do small trees yet. I think we're going to concentrate on big trees. So on searching for the trunk, not as conclusive as I'd like really. It was saying cedar, oak. I felt like, I mean, it's got to be oak, right? So then I looked down and these leaves look really oaky. So I searched for the leaf as well, and it did suggest that it would be an oak. And there's two choices, it seems like, a sessile oak and then an English oak. I don't know which one it is. We may have to just put it down as an oak for now, and then we will come back and get more specific. Apparently you can tell by the acorn stems, which obviously are not really in attendance right now, and then maybe the ridges on the leaves. I bet there's tree experts out there that could just say, well, obviously that's this, but I am not one such person. So I think we're going to say oak for now for our first tree and move on. Okay, so these guys right here, boom boom boom, these all have very obviously different bark. It's much more horizontal than vertical. I mean, they're a different shape, obviously a lot lower than the oaks, but whether they get bigger, I don't know. So leaf wise, I mean, everything is just oak leaves that I can see on the floor. I'm almost positive these aren't oaks, but Let's see if the bark helps us ID it. It's not really much in the way of leaves on the tree at all to help us out. So I think it's going to be down to, can we get this bark ID'd? No idea what this barbed wire is doing attached here. We are not in any way near a boundary, so that is very odd. My best guess after the fact, mostly based off that bark, is a gean or wild cherry. We must remember to check back in the spring to see if we're right though. Now here's one that we definitely need to get ID'd, and when I say one, I mean a lot more than one, because it is these, what I'm presuming are some kind of pine tree, but there's a lot of variety within that, you know. Whether I'm going to be able to ID that now, or whether I'm going to need to come back with somebody who knows better the specifics, I don't know, but we'll give it a try. Even if we can narrow it down to pine rather than spruce or conifer, or see, I mean, this shows my tree knowledge. It's just not good, but that's why we're doing this. I'd like to be able to just point to trees and say, ha, that one's a pine, that one's not, you know, all part of the learning experience. Isn't that light glorious though? Oof. I mean, how we're supposed to kind of judge the foliage from down here, I don't know. This is one tall tree. Well, my app says that these are spruces, as to which kind it's not convinced. I don't know how much I can trust the app. I think the thing with trees is there are so many little variety changes between them that it's actually maybe more difficult than I'd hoped to be able to ID them. So this is going to be more of a challenge. If I'm able to pin this down a little bit more between now and editing, I will try and include some helpful text to say what I actually think these are. But for now, I'm going to say spruces, because why not? I mean, that's all the evidence we have for the moment, and without climbing to the top, I can't really take a closer look at the branches and the foliage. A minute later, we actually found a lucky low branch. I'm going with Norway spruce for now. If that's right, these are your traditional Christmas trees, though these guys may have just got a little past the ideal height for most homes. Okay, so just a little ways down from the spruces, well, it's kind of actually in the middle, is this little guy. And it's little, but I should not have moved it, it's dripping. It's small, but it's definitely tree-ish. So I thought it was actually getting new growth on it, but now I'm not convinced that the new growth, it's so hard to tell. There's so much wrapping around itself. Are there vines on here that are growing new? Or is that itself? It also has little catkins in places. It's a really weird tree that all seems to be growing out of one base here. Multiple trunks. I'm going to have to get more technical with this. Wraparound vines. Is it vining around itself? Is this multiple plants? I am going to have to get in and take a look. Alright, it might be a common hazel. We may have our first actual defined one, which is exciting. I could believe it's a hazel. So this is a little area I like to call the fallen tree. I mean, you can see why there's a fallen tree across here. This actually fell down the last part of last year, and for a while it was just across the path, which was fun. I guess to be able to get access to the back, they have now cut it into bits and left it off to the side. But more interestingly, perhaps, it has flooded across the path really bad here. I've not been coming down on the rainy days particularly, but it has been very rainy recently, and it's made a bit of a ford here, so that's an exciting development for the day. It's actually all got a little busy now, people walking their dogs all over the place, so I think I'm going to abandon ship for the day, come back down another morning. Beautiful as it is down here. Might actually be easier to do when it's not so misty anyway. I might be able to see the tops of the trees a bit better. I mean, look at it, it's just dream photography conditions. Absolutely amazing. So it's a few days later, and we've come out to look for more trees. Another very foggy day though, as you can see. But interestingly, before we get into the woods, I noticed that we've had a lot of rain. You can see it just running down the road here. And it's actually going into this little stream, which you can, oh, you probably can't see it at all through all of the, let's see if I can zoom. Okay, you can see a bit of moving water through there. So it's running off into this ditch and kind of making a stream. You can actually hear running water, which you can never hear down here, so that just took me off guard. We're going to head over to Liftholt today because our issues with running water across the path in Rita Widu the other day and the extra rain makes me feel like probably it's going to be pretty wet over there. So let's give over here a try, look for some trees over here. Alright, I think we may have another tree to the collection. This one to the left here. If you look up, you won't be able to see much. Let me do a ridiculous zoom here. Yeah, you can see clusters of seeds and they look helicopter-like. So initially, sorry, that's really out of focus. You can kind of see them in the distance there. Anyway, they look helicopter-like, which made me think sycamore. I looked down on the ground and discovered this leaf. Now, on researching this leaf, it suggested field maple, which appears to be indigenous to England, which is a promising sign. It says they have 5-pronged leaves, which this would fit. And they also do have the seeds light top. Could be a different type of maple, potentially, or the other thing it says is you can confuse them for sycamores, so I'm guessing either sycamore or maple. I like the idea of it being a field maple. It's really being tricky to go from the bark though. You can see the bark has fairly distinctive texture, but what I'm finding as I keep searching for the barks is that it's throwing a wild variety of trees at me, which makes me feel like it's not the most reliable way. Either that or I'm not giving it pictures that are suitable. I'm not sure. I haven't done a lot of tree research in the past. Oh, you know what I've noticed? There's actually some seeds right here, maybe from a branch that has fallen down. So there you go. So we're going to go with field maple for now and hope for the best, but I'm always open to corrections on all of these because I'm very much new to this whole endeavour of tree discovering. Alright, next up is this chap. just here. We've got a few of them around. If I scroll up slightly, sorry for the judderiness, you can see it's got a small crown at the top, and I don't know if that's typical or if branches have just been removed. I can see one or two that have fallen, so we'll get in there, see if we can find some leaves on the ground, or I mean, this bark looks a lot more distinctive, so perhaps that will help us out a bit more. Let's get in there and see. You know, I really thought I knew more what a birch looked like, and I don't know, I feel like I've been calling lots of trees birches that perhaps aren't birches. When I looked at this initially, I thought, yeah, birch. But now, having picked up a leaf that admittedly could have come from a different tree, I am not convinced at all. So what does it all mean? I don't know. I feel like I really have to go back to the drawing board. It thinks this could be an aspen, which I did not expect. Another one that I've confused myself out of. Again, we'll have to try it again once they're leafy. Alright, exciting news from my perspective is I think we may have found one that we're pretty sure about, and that is this one. And I assume, but maybe shouldn't by extension, that the ones behind it probably the same. Douglas fir. And I'm getting that from a combination of it really thinking this bark is good, but if you wait, we also had this dropped branch, which meant I could check the needles out. It also thought Douglas fir. So the fact that they agree makes me quite excited, and it does look like a fir tree. So, you know, you gotta feel like maybe we've got it with this one. Lovely huge trees. They seem to have a little bit of reddishness in the bark, which perhaps is an indicator. I did not realize that. I'm sure they have some unique features as well about how they're set up. Maybe we'll look into that kind of stuff as time goes on. I'm sort of doing a little bit of a, what I'm realizing now is overview of trying to find these trees, but we're obviously going to have to get a bit more technical to learn them so we can ID them, because even the ones I've seen, I do not feel confident about seeing other ones and going, oh, that's this. So this has definitely been a wake-up call. I think that's going to be the overriding message of the video, is that I don't know anything. I'm going to be honest, I really wanted to get at the trees on the left over here, the Christmas tree type trees, but nature is making that hard. Everything is so wet. I mean, it probably doesn't look too, it just looks like some minor puddles, but this water is actually somewhat moving. You can see almost in there, there's a little bit of movement to it. It's deeper than it looks, and once you put your foot in it, it really goes deep. So, I mean, there's one right there. I mean, there's obviously hundreds and hundreds, but it's so close, but I don't feel like I can really get to it. Time will tell. We will return to trees and do them better. Now this is a tree I can get on board with, at least for identification. Pretty sure this is holly. one of the easiest trees to ID. Watch this be some weird random thing that looks like holly, and I find out later that it's not. But I'm fairly convinced it is. It's being very kind by keeping its leaves on it and having possibly the most distinctive leaves in the whole place. There's a couple of these scattered around. I don't know enough about them to know. Maybe I'll do a touch of research, because I don't know how they occur naturally. I feel like normally you see holly bushes, so to see whole trees of them, do they just spring up like that? Are they why do they not take up whole areas of the woods? I'm curious, so I will look it up and see if they tend to get planted or if they are naturally occurring but just do not spread like crazy. I don't know. But anyway, exciting. Feeling better about my hazel ID now that we got over in Rita Widow. We had a couple of these trees with the budding and then focus for me, and then the catkins. Interestingly, I keep thinking, keep getting branches dropped from other trees and thinking that is never an oak, and of course it isn't. But yeah, you can see we've got a couple of hazels here. I say you can see it, it's not easy, trees against trees, but yeah, I'm trying to get these nailed down in my head. They definitely have the distinctive curly gnarled branches. They seem to often grow from a crown like this and grow up, and then of course we've got the catkins, which I'm calling them. I don't know if that's all of them are catkins or if some trees call them I don't know, but I'm calling them that. Has those, so yeah, pretty happy to call this a hazel until somebody tells me otherwise. Look at this guy here, it's just an absolute monster of a tree. It's got a lot of character. Some trees just have a lot of character. I mean, I think part of it is it's so mossy and just gives it that ancient but also somewhat alive feel. I think it's an oak tree. I'm not sure of anything anymore, but judging by the leaves around it and the lack of other oaks close by, I think it probably is. It's just, for reference, if I back up, in the clearing here, just a little way in, but it just looms over it. I really like to, as much as I love to get to know the species and such of the different trees, there's also something about just getting to know individual trees. I don't know if that makes sense to anybody else, but there's something comforting about knowing a tree, walking past, seeing it again. I can't explain it. Maybe it's something inbuilt. Maybe I'm just weird. Maybe all of these apply. Now here's something I should have considered a little more carefully. Pine cones. Maybe we should call them cones. Are they all pine cones? Now I'm having doubts. Anyway, on the floor, good for ID. This one is heavily suggesting that these trees right next to me, sorry for that, are spruces, which, I mean, makes sense. Whether they are or not, I don't know. But it's another idea, isn't it? And by idea, I mean something to ID it by, not an idea. So yeah, this might be a whole grove of spruces, which would mean these are spruces. The ones earlier in the woods, if I'm correct, which I may not be, are the Douglas firs, I think it was. So a few different types, as I'd hoped, of these type of tree. Coniferous trees? I don't know. I really need to get my terminology as well. I can only apologise for my slapdash tree knowledge. It's actually really hard to go home when conditions like this, but I do have last week's video to finish editing, and I feel like we've seen a lot of the repeated trees. We've done our best. We've probably not done our best. I think we can do better, but whether we wait till some leaves start appearing to really do that, because I think the leaves are going to be our friend. That may be what we do. But it's been interesting to study them and learn that learning them is a lot harder than I thought. But yeah, we're going to leave these peaceful, misty conditions for today. You never know when it's going to be like this, so it is hard to pull oneself away. So I apologise for the audio, because it's, I don't know, 10 o'clock at night, and this is very much a sudden situation. My neighbour sent me a message and said, hey, the Aurora Borealis is playing up. I've never managed to time catching it before, so here we are, just me in the middle of the woods with my camera there. You can already see some red on there from the sky. Just had to come out and get it. We're standing you probably can't see anything, can you? We're standing on the road between Left Tilt and Rita Wudu. It's quite creepy because it's very dark out here, and you know, you just have the sounds of the woodland. The owls have been making a lot of noise. Woods make strange noises at night, and there's always the chance that somebody will drive by, some weird person. I mean, I'm here, so one weird person is here. But anyway, I'll be playing the shots we got. I'm no expert on night photography, quite the opposite, but I'm trying my best to get some cool shots in basically pitch black. Here it is without the light, just so you get an idea of how dark it is. There's not much to see. So the interesting thing, or one of the interesting things, is that you can't really see what you're going to get before you take the picture. You can just see a very faint glow in the camera lens because it's trying to give me an idea of what I'm going to see. But it's really not until you see it afterwards. So standing and just looking at the sky is of no use. You have to take the picture and then go, ooh, that's cool. I think there probably were some more colours floating by earlier. I think maybe some greens, but I was too slow to grab everything, so everything just seems to be red now. I think the owl's getting angry with me. I think I hear a car coming too, so I better get out of the middle of the road here. Last day of the week, and I figured let's give it one more try, get out there. Turns out, maybe not the easiest day for such things. So I've come all the way over to the right, and just look at it, it doesn't help. I was hoping perhaps there'd be an area where it got a little higher, but where you see that grass, that is the field that is fenced off. And the water is flowing through there as well. It's hard to see from this, but down there you can see some brown movement. Sorry, everything's a bit handheld today. I don't want to set up the camera for too long, get it too wet. But yeah, just a little river coming through here. I'll get down a bit closer so you can hear the flow. So we're going to head back to the gate, just up, come on, just up there. Interestingly, somebody's parked there. I don't know where they are. Anyway, we're going to head back, try lift hold, because Rita Wudu is a no-go. As we're talking trees, what is this about? On what looks to be an oak. It's frothing. I will have to look into this. we never quite made the most of this day. Very wet, very muddy. This is me attempting to summarise with my mic jostling away in my pocket. We'll skim over that and just conclude that we had a semi-successful week of tree finding, which will most certainly need a spring follow-up. Anyway, see you next time. Bye bye.